Hi everyone.
Hi, Sawyer.
I've been playing around recently with. Oh, okay. I know I should always be in dark. So I've been playing around recently with web scrapers. It's something that I did a really, really, really long time ago. I even got paid for it. But it's been so much fun because I started playing with it again. And I wanted to give a talk about the various crazy and fun stuff that we can do with web scraping. So first I wanted to explain, well, why do we web scrape? And people sometimes miss this. And there's actually a few really good reasons to do web scraping. First of all, when a website doesn't have an API, okay? Not all websites do. Some haven't thought about having an API. Maybe it's because their data wasn't really, they didn't think it would, you know, that they would need an API or someone would need an API, or they don't know what it is, so they haven't even thought about it. Some of them don't know how to write one. And this includes both people and frameworks. So sometimes it's this nice blogging system and they haven't come up with how to provide an API for the data they present. It's not necessarily the person who says, I don't know how to implement it myself. Some of them don't really want to have one. Again, going back to maybe no one's going to use it, so they can, but they don't want to. A lot of these things are websites like ticket systems where you can't have an API to see when the next system is, when the next event is. There's a bookstore here that has all of it in an email, which is great, but it's not an API, so I can't actually check it against my schedule. So there's a lot of reasons for this. Sometimes a website has API, but you would still prefer to web scrape, and there's even more reasons for that. The first one is that the API can have limitations. Some of them demand a certain request limit, or other limits. It's very annoying. They have a lot of these limitations that don't really let you have fun with it. Some of them don't actually cover everything. There are some things that they're not in the API, but you actually do want to have. So, the API kind of sucks. The API sometimes is not comfortable. So yes, it has it, but it provides it in a weird way, or you need to normalize it. You need to make too many requests. There's one person in this room who has written an API that, he told me that like a really old API that required like 17 back and forths to get one item. It was really well decoupled. Like it was really decoupled. So you kept having to get more bits in front of it. But when you wanted to display, it had to fetch everything and display all of it. So scraping would have been easier. Some of them require authentication and authorization. So you have to have you have to have a key, you have to have a password. There's a website here for real estate, and if you want to take a look at apartments, they have a really, 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 really big SOAP interface, which follows with, has limitations because it's shitty and it's not comfortable because it's SOAP. And you need to have a key, so you need to register the documentation, but scraping the website is much easier, and there are no limitations. So that's, and of course, one of these which sometimes comes with authentication and authorization, so even if you can get it, sometimes it actually costs you money, and you don't want to do this. So there's a lot of reasons to write web scrapers. It's not just for fun, but it's a lot of fun. So I'm not actually going to focus on anything that is useful. Okay? So there are reasons, but I don't care that much about it. There's a lot of ways to web scrape, and with Perl we have a gazillion. Every time someone asks me about this, I go into a tirade, we're opening CPAN and searching and showing like a ton of these options, and you got to pick, the tool that you like. I like Mechanize that I used to use. It's the entire web, single object, it's a browser, user agent, play with it. There's web query, which I just started. I am coining this term, and it provides like a jQuery interface. And of course there's a few others. If you want to raise your hand and say, well, what about, well, that exists too. And use it if you want to. I'm actually going to focus mainly about this thing because that's the reason I started web scraping again. Mechanize, just as a note, Mechanize is actually very, very useful in places that what I'm going to show isn't useful. Mechanize is something you want to use when you need an actual browser, when you need state, when you want to go through buttons, when you want to analyze the links that you have, when you want to analyze the submit that you have. So all of these things are really, really useful with Mechanize. When you want to save cookies and you want to fake headers and so on and so on and so on. And this is super useful. I'm going to give you one example that I used for it. I had a project from this guy who he wanted to make a database of all the products that exist in a supermarket. And that included all of their ingredients and all their nutritional information, stuff like that. We wanted to create a database. Except those databases cost a lot of money, apparently. Maybe nowadays you can get it for free, I don't know. But he looked for it and he couldn't find it for cheap or for free. So I looked at a supermarket website, and you could see all the products there. So you could look at the product, and each product, if you open it, you will have the serial number, and you will have all the ingredients and all of those information. So you could just go over them, but you can't really have the list of all of them. You actually have to search for stuff. But they allowed full text search on either side. So if I search for A, I got everything that had A in it. B, C, and there's the rest of the letters in the alphabet. So you go through all of them because they all have serial numbers. You know when you hit a duplicate, so you just skip. And I was able to script the entire thing, recognize very easily, and that was, well, you know, if I would have done it. And so that's one really nice usage. Another one that I will not admit to outside this room was when we were looking at a page that had posts for an election. So what we did was find out that you could actually submit these. And we went through all of the links, we had to log in, then we had to make requests, but basically we were able to vote for whoever we wanted, as many times as we wanted. And I do believe that, that the entire competition was disqualified. Yes, because of us. So, okay. Showing security one competition at a time. So Mechanize definitely has its role, and you should use it when you need state. Now, I've been starting to play with web query. I really, really, really like web query. It comes from Tokuhiro-san, and it provides you with a nice jQuery-like language. And it is my favorite new tool. It has all of the Japanese craziness that comes from anything that Japanese people write. It is insane, it is brilliant, it is very fun. Yannick Champo, I don't know how many people know him. He got a commit bit, so be careful now, it's going to go nuts. This is one example of something that I did with it. I started listening to podcasts, I wrote a blog post about this. And someone told me, you should listen to Welcome to Nineville. I didn't know it, so I looked up the webpage, and you can see that, I have it here. This is the webpage for Nineville, and you can see that you have all the episodes, they have a ton. And it's, of course, in the codec. You can press this or press this, and then it leads to another page. So let's see, it leads to another page, and in this page you will have the download link. Oh, of course, resource was not found, even better. And then you can find the download button over there. So I figured, well, I could do something like that. So go to the page, find the table, the correct table, go in it, start going through each one of these lines. So for each one of those, I want you to scrape that one and find the link, get the first one because there's a few of these, but I actually only want the title, and get the text for it. So that's the title. Then create a file name, check if it exists, and then get the episode link, and you just need to go through that element again and look for the button. Get the first one, get the attribute href, and download link from that. So we actually go into the episode href and find the download button, the href. We're using IO all here to just IO from the download link to the file. So we're fetching and saving, which is super nice. Is it 8? Did I put it 8? Yes, I did. So let me see here. Yeah. So if I'll run this, which of course will work on live because everything works live. Let me just switch these. There we go. So you can see that it downloads the episode once it actually finishes downloading the episode. It's a very long one.
Isn't that the one where the resource wasn't found anyway? The first one?
Well, I ran this a little while ago and actually it worked. So who knows?
Now you're blocked.
Sorry?
Now you're blocked.
No, yes, it could. I remember when I started with web scraping, the first ban I got was from dnsstuff.com. And those were hard to achieve. And I got this on the ISP level. So, I did that. Well, anyway, it's going to run, and it's going to work, and it's really nice. So, okay, well, what else can I do? You know, the funny thing is, I downloaded all the episodes. I haven't listened to one yet. Okay. But then I said, well, there's another one called Criminal that someone suggested after I listened to Serial. He said, well, you should check that one out. So I said, okay, well, let's take a look at this. So this is Criminal. And over here, you can see all of the episodes here. And you can download them. There's a nice download button here, except that when I started, there wasn't a download button for all of these. One of these, specifically this one, has a shopping cart, so you buy this, you don't download this. And most of these didn't actually have a download button. So I was like, well, I guess, well, I want to do this anyway. I want to download it, because I don't listen on the computer, I listen on my MP3 player, which is surprisingly not an iPod. Oh, there we go, it downloaded. So here's the stuff. All right, so let's stop this right here. Okay, so what I did was open the show here, and when I opened the show here, it opened the widget, and then I had, I started going through all of these, and I found that the download is actually the same for everyone as the link, even if you have the button, and even if you don't. So I don't actually need the button to exist, I just need to go to that link for the show. But this came out, this was kind of tricky. The first problem was that in order to get the widget, you have to fetch the page, get a piece of JavaScript, go there, get that one, and then make another request, and then get the link, and then you can download it. And you need an ID, a client ID. If you go to SoundCloud, you can get a client ID if you register. But the browser does get a client ID. Why don't I get a client ID? So what I did was actually very simple. Every time someone says, well, you need JavaScript, no, you don't. Look, I start with a main page. I go through one of these posts. Then for each post, I take the header and I get the text. Now this is one thing that was very interesting. These posts, some of these, had what's it called? I actually have it here. A quotation mark, and it's not just a quotation mark. It is this piece of shit. You see this? This is not a normal quotation mark. This is a Unicode quotation mark. Okay, this is fucking Unicode right there. So what I'm doing is I'm using full Unicode in Perl. This is beautiful. I'm just saying, you know what? If it's the stupid, well, stupid is not in the name, but if it's the right single quotation mark, just switch it to a normal one. Okay? And that fixed it. And then I get the href, so now I have the text, I have everything. They have a live show, it's one of the episodes, but it's live streaming, so no, I'm not downloading this. And then the interesting part is that I wanted to create a string saying, well, this is the episode, this is the number, this is the title. The problem is these people put in words, 8, 9. My shell does not sort this properly, okay? Because my shell says, well, 9 is n, it's not 9. So 11, it's really annoying. So what I did was use this nice thing called lingua, words to nums, and I'm using this, I love Perl so much because of stuff like this. What I'm doing is, it's a single line in which I take the title, I search for episode, then something, all the way to the colon, then that other thing. I compose using the E for regex, the actual name of the episode, taken from here, in numbers, and then add to this dash $2. There's no space here because there is one here, and then .mp3. And now I have a file name, and because of the R here, this all gets returned here without destroying title. It's a beautiful language. So it's things like this. And then of course I print all of this and actually run a piece of code inside quotation marks. Alright. Does it exist? Yes, no. Then I have the post, find the entry, get the iframe. Okay, there's a fucking iframe. Get the source of the iframe. Fetch from that iframe the JavaScript link. Then get that link to the JavaScript. Then search inside it for the client ID. And then, of course, normalize, because sometimes it's URI encoded and sometimes it isn't, right? Because who cares, right? So make sure that you can handle URI encoding, get the client ID, episode ID, and then fetch it. This is a single line that basically said, well, it's not a single line, it's a single statement that basically said, please fetch this entire thing and save it in this file name. And that's it. And it works, and it works really cool. Let's run it here, criminal. So it's a very nice thing. So you can see this is episode 14, Fifth Suspect. This is 2 instead of 1 because the first one is a live show that we're skipping. These are very short episodes. The Fifth Suspect, you can see here that it says 14, not 14. Okay, so, all right, that worked. Now, I was feeling, very godlike, and then I got this. So that was kind of a downer. And of course my reply was, well, it's a learning experience. Have fun.
You didn't tell him RSS was dying?
Right, exactly. And if you take a look, this is the feed, and hey, here it is, and look, numbers.
Numbers.
Okay. Well, all right, fine. So what else could I do with WebString? I started looking for other stuff. Schema.org is a really nice website for defining schemas for objects. So if you take a look at it over here, you can see that it has an organization of schemas where you have an event, an organization, a person, and all the attributes that go along with it. Now, this is in order to make the web very accessible. The only problem is that this is not accessible. You cannot download this in a comfortable way. There is no serialized or encoded version of this. Nowhere. It is literally displayed in shitty HTML with RDF tags. If you open one of these...
Wait, Schema.org uses RDFA?
Well, it's shitty RDFA. It's not like even comfortable RDFA. I'm not just saying that. I'm not saying shitty RDFA because RDFA is shitty, but because the way it's done here.
I'm surprised these people are using it though.
Sorry?
I'm surprised these people are using it though. They're like the anti-RFTA.
Now, you might think, hey, there's a single page with everything.
Nope.
It's not up to date. You open it and they say, well, we're not keeping this one up to date. Well, thanks. So if you open one of these, let's take organization for instance, it will tell you, look, you have all of these things. There's a property, the expected type, the types are types in and of themselves, and description of each one, and then you can fetch them. It's really, really, really nice. Except it is completely, impossibly you can't work with this. So what I did was, well, I was like, I can do this, and there was at least one German person who I will not name who thought that this is impossible and I'm crazy to try. But this is the code, this is it. I go to schema.org with some entity that I want, with the default here from IO prompt tiny. I get the definition table, I get the super type, TR. For each one of these, I get the property by taking the prop name, code A, then I map it to text when I search for the prop act A. And that's it. And if I run this code, so this is, I think, wait. Ha! So if I run this, what do we call it? Schema? Event? Yes, event. There you go. So we have all of the properties. This, for example, is a property image. It has types URL and image object. Most of these are only one, but some of these have more than one. So this one. And that's it. It's there. It's golden. I now have this. And I wrote code that actually generates Moose classes from this, recursively. Why not? I should upload it to CPAN at some point. So, okay, what else can I do? Trash pickup. Okay. So, how many people here recycle? All right, great, good. So, recycling in my neighborhood, you get a page once a year with all the dates for the calendar. And then what I do, I need reminders because there's no fucking way I'll remember. So I put it in my calendar. And each month I go over all of these and go like, all right, these days, and put it in my calendar. It's really annoying. But I found it. There's a website that gives you this information. But it doesn't have a feed. It doesn't have anything. There's a PDF that doesn't work. There's a link. It doesn't work. So, interestingly enough, this is the municipality where I live in Amstelveen. If you search for it, it will give you what's going on in Amstelveen in this, where it is. And mostly, they actually have mostly plastic. And you can page through each single month and see what they're doing. This, of course, doesn't work. So, so what I did was, hey, I could do this. So I have a default here, and then I'll go to the page, I'll go to the div for each one, I'll get the year and the month, and I'll print those out with the year. This will make sure that I print the year only once, and then I go through the div, p, each one I get the day, and I get the description and everything, and print it out. It's really nice, and it looks like this. So, there you go. So, right, each one. Now if I give a different place, God damn it. What did I screw up? Well, live demos, they always work. So, I can see on, I'm gonna just turn this up. So I can see each month, each day, the number, and what's actually being done. And then I throw this into my calendar. iCal. So that's it. And now I have all of this trash pickup on my calendar. Really, really nice. Useful stuff, sort of. And, okay, well, what else can I do? Oh, Amstelveen, the district I'm in, the municipality, they actually have all of the streets. They have a list of all of the streets. And that list is available online. You can actually go for it. So here's the website, and if you go to the streets, it'll give you, well, wait, what does the street start with? And then you go in and it says, oh, hey, well, we have this street and that street and that street, which I'm not going to try and pronounce, going to get it wrong. And what you have is the name of the street, the bureau or neighborhood, and a description of that street in case you're interested and can read Dutch. So, well, I can do this. Can I? Well, but the thing is that I was thinking about this. One thing I wanted to query is to actually do this asynchronously by just threading this. So I wish I could just go for each one and it would hook up with some event loop. But it does because it works on HTML and not only on URLs. So what I did was I created this condition variable with any event, and you can ignore this variable because it was for testing. So I get the URL, fine, single fetch, so far so good. But then for each letter that I have, I do a CV begin, make a request, and I feed the body back into WQ. So now I'm feeding in the content that I fetched asynchronously. So now for each letter, I'm making a request, 20x requests, and then I'm getting the street names, neighborhoods, descriptions, and I create a nice array of all of these, and I do have the code for it, so streets. And then now we made like a ton of requests, and there we go. Some of these don't have a neighborhood attached to them. But there we go. So not bad, not bad. I'm going to show one last trick, okay? Yeah? Are we good for one last one?
Yeah. Why didn't you think Google Translate or something to get the full stop?
Because I wrote it in 10 minutes yesterday. Give me a break. I went to sleep, that's why. And I drummed. Okay. So there's the pull request challenge.
Yay.
Right? Yeah, there you go. So I was looking at the pull request challenge, and Neil put out the, let's close this, close this, close this. This is the post about the pull request challenge. He thought there would be like, I don't know, 10, 15 people. It's up to 370 by now, or something crazy like that. Basically he said, send me an email, I will assign you with a project, give it a pull request. That's it. And then he submitted the list for who's working on what, but he submitted it in an HTML that he rendered. So we didn't actually provide the raw content, which is, it's actually good for most things, because you don't want to share people's personal names that appear in personal emails, but never mind that. So you have, so who the participant is, according to their GitHub ID, the distribution that you want, who released it last, right? Because it's last released by, because multiple people can release it, and you can see that it doesn't always correlate to where it is. So Miyagawa has released Steven's Plaque Middleware session because Steven, the fucker sitting over there, he was too busy. So, damn it, Steven. So this was nice. I was like, well, you know what? I could probably do something from this, so I could actually end the talk that I'm doing in 20 minutes. So, so what I did is fetch it, and for each one of the lines, I get the release, and then I check if it's mine. Because I wanted to know how many of these were mine. So if I run this, you'll see that there's one over there. I don't know if you can see that. I'm sorry. Let me run it again. It says, well, there's one. This person was assigned with module starter that you're in charge of. he actually submitted about 5 or 6 or 7 pull requests, all of them except the last one merged, which I'm going to merge and release. He did tremendous work. But then I thought, well, that's not a lot. That's not a lot. I started with just checking if the release last author was me, or whether my GitHub account was there. It was under a repo that I hold. Because Module Starter fits both of these, but maybe there's something that doesn't. But then I thought, you know, there's this really cool thing. There's CPAN authors. How many people here know this module? All right, this module is basically a list of authors according to different categories. And there is one specific interesting category, the one that Book wrote. That one for people who work with me. So if you go to the source, it's just a list of the people that I get to work with. Incredible, amazing people, except for, where is he? Never mind. So, so we have this list, and I was like, well, maybe I could match these. I bet I could. So, well, here we go. So what I'm doing is I'm creating a new object from this. I'm getting all of the IDs, then take a release. For each of the IDs, I check if they match, and then I'll print that out. So if I do this, I'll get, here's the 2. I can see that, for example, Stephen got screwed because the Plaque Lower session, which he refuses to release, and Miyagawa had to release instead, was assigned by someone. Same for Book with some stuff. This is mine again. Eve got screwed because someone's going to have to interact with him. Ivar, here's Stephen again for 2 more things. So it's actually, well, Nick Perez appears here more than once. And I thought, well, I could probably make it a bit easier for people. So let me see. Okay, yeah, I could. I'm gonna put it in a list, and then I'm gonna, do all that fancy stuff. And what you don't see here is UTF-8 encoding, which I added as well. And if I'm gonna run this now, here we go. So for each person, so for example here, we have 2 people assigned with the module here. Nick has 2 people assigned with his. Gugad, you got 1, but it's Perl group, so it's probably not easy. Stephen, bad news, dude. And so on. It's really, really nice. Even Raphael got 1. So this is kind of stuff that you can do with web scraping. I guess that's my last example. The point that I'm trying to make is very, very simple. Web scraping is one exact thing. It is taking information and data that is currently displayable and making it accessible. Okay? It's data that people wanted you to see and view, and it's making it something that you can work with and play with. And that's basically all it is, but it is really fun. So that's definitely the biggest thing to remember. And after all of this, pretty much done. Thanks.